Today, we're going to be digging deep. I mean, really deep. We're going past the usual starting points of history to find a story that's been buried for thousands of years. A lost past of the Indian subcontinent, from a time long before the famous Vedas were ever written. So it makes you ask a really fundamental question. Where does the story of ancient India truly begin? For a long time, the answer to that seemed pretty simple, almost textbook. For many, that answer has always been the Vedic age. A period defined by a group known as the Indo-Aryans and the creation of the Vedas, some of the oldest religious texts in the world. And those written records, they've been the anchor for Indian history. But what if that's not the beginning? What if the real story is much older? Well, to find that older story, we have to put down the ancient texts for a minute and look somewhere else entirely. We have to look into the earth itself, where a whole different kind of history has been written. This is where the real power of archaeology comes into play. You see, the people who lived in India before the Aryans, well, they didn't leave us any books, but they did leave behind tools and buildings and burial sites. And as the source material puts it, it's archaeology that's finally helping us understand just how incredibly rich and developed their lives really were. Okay, so where's the proof? Where is all this evidence coming from? Let's take a look at some of the key archaeological sites that are completely rewriting our understanding of ancient India. Our first stop is a place called Mehrgarh, in what's now modern-day Pakistan. And this isn't just any old settlement, okay? This is one of the earliest known farming communities in all of South Asia. And what's been found here it's truly mind-blowing. We're talking about 9,000 years ago, the people of Mehrgarh were already cultivating crops. They were domesticating animals. That is a massive leap from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle. They even had complex rituals, like burying their dead with red ochre, which gives us this hint of a really rich spiritual world. All right, now let's jump thousands of years forward and head to a completely different part of the subcontinent. Down in southern India, the site of Keeladi is showing us that these complex societies weren't just a northern thing, not at all. Keeladi reveals this bustling urban center from around 300 BCE. We're talking planned streets, brick buildings, even advanced drainage systems. I mean, these are all the hallmarks of a highly organized society. There were also incredible craftspeople, and get this, archaeologists have even found pottery with symbols that might just be an early form of writing. And if you think that's old, the timeline goes even deeper. In central India, you've got the Bhimbetka rock shelters. These things hold some of humanity's oldest art. Some of these paintings are over 100,000 years old. They give us this incredible direct window into the minds of our most distant ancestors, way before cities were even a dream. So when you actually put it all together on a timeline, you see this amazing, deep history that stretches for millennia. You go from the very first farmers at Mehrgarh to the huge cities of the Indus Valley, and then all the way to Keeladi. What you're seeing is a continuous story of development that was happening long before the Vedic period even began. And here's the key takeaway. These were not scattered, primitive tribes just trying to survive. No way. These were advanced societies. They mastered technologies like copper smelting. They built extensive trade networks that reached as far as Mesopotamia. That's modern-day Iraq. And, as we've already seen, they had incredibly rich and complex spiritual lives. So, what does all this archaeological evidence really mean? How does it change the big picture of Indian history as we know it? Well, it creates this really dramatic contrast. The old story often suggests that civilization was something that was brought to India by the Aryans. But the archaeological truth we're uncovering tells a different story, that indigenous cultures had been innovating and building and creating the foundations of civilization right here for thousands of years. And this is a really big deal. I mean, it's hugely significant. First, it pushes the entire timeline of Indian civilization back by millennia. It proves that complex, sophisticated cities with advanced planning existed long before the Vedic period. It shows us that India's heritage is this beautiful mosaic of many diverse indigenous cultures. And maybe most importantly, it fundamentally challenges that old idea that civilization was brought to the subcontinent from somewhere else. Nope, it grew from its own soil. But here's the exciting part. This story is far from over. Every single new discovery adds another piece to this giant puzzle. And trust me, there are still so many unanswered questions. Just take this Indus Valley seal, for example. The craftsmanship is just incredible, right? The images are so intricate, but the script? we still can't read it. It remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. It's this powerful symbol of just how much we still have to learn. So what's the path forward? Well, the source materials suggest a pretty clear plan. We need to support more of this research. We need to update our history books to include this pre-Aryan history. We've got to use modern science like DNA analysis to learn even more. And critically, we have to protect these irreplaceable ancient sites so they can keep telling their stories for generations to come. All of this really leaves us with one final and pretty exciting question. As we continue to dig, what other secrets about our oldest civilizations are just sitting there, waiting to be found? The next big discovery could change everything we think we know, all over again.